What's going on, guys? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another Major League Baseball recap. Yes, for the second day in a row, we have some baseball news to discuss. Now, there's a few fun things, like Manny Ramirez could be making a comeback to baseball, so we'll talk about that. And then also, this day in Major League Baseball history, Roger Clemens did some crazy things, Greg Maddux did some crazy things, so make sure you guys watch all the way until the end. And if you want baseball to come back, make sure you guys leave a like on this video. Let's try and get every single MLB recap to 1,000 likes. That should be the goal moving forward. But also, Robert Manfred and Major League Baseball are up to some new things with a brand new proposal that actually isn't too bad. We're going to go ahead and talk about that very in-depth, so make sure you guys stick around for that. But first and foremost, I do want to talk about Manny Ramirez, who is 48 years old. He wants to make a comeback, not to Major League Baseball, but maybe it's going to be a stepping stone or a bridge. But he wants to go back to the Taiwan Baseball League and actually play and compete. He says that he misses being in the batter's box, and I don't know about you guys, but there's something about being in that box where you just feel everything in the world doesn't matter. It's just you and the pitcher, mono versus a mono, and you have to try and get the best of them. And if you do, there is nothing better. I mean, even my little brother was talking about it yesterday, like watching a baseball fly out the stadium. There is almost no better feeling. Like this picture right here of Derek Dietrich, I can't imagine how good he felt. But back in 2013, when Manny played his last season in an international league, he had a 970 OPS or 970, 940 OPS, something like that. It's really high. But again, it wasn't an international game where I guess it's like the competition isn't too high. So do you think that Manny Ramirez is going to be good enough to actually compete at 48 years old? Do you think that maybe he can make a minor league club this year? I mean, honestly, 2020 is the year just to try everything that we've ever wanted to. So Manny make a comeback. Maybe Randy Johnson can make a comeback as a relief pitcher. Just if there's a pie in the sky idea, this year is the year to try it. But I just want to show you guys my favorite Manny Ramirez moment of all time, because while we're talking about him, might as well show it. It's just Manny being Manny. You gotta love it.
Off. That one by Millar, hit in the air, left center field. Manny Ramirez back, and he makes the catch! What a catch by Ramirez! They're going to try and double up at first, and they do! Aubrey Huff is doubled up.
So now that we've got the Manny Ramirez comeback story out the way, we can get into the meat and potatoes of today's video. The fact that Major League Baseball has a brand new proposal that, in my opinion, is leaps and bounds better than sticking all of the clubs in Arizona in a bubble, in a vacuum, and not allowing them to see the light of day pretty much, aside from when they're playing baseball, not being able to see their family. This new proposal is actually not the worst thing I've ever seen in the entire world. So if you guys missed it, I'm actually going to give credit to my dad, because he sent me the graphic. Now, I saw that there was a proposal, but I didn't really think it was going to be all that special. I didn't really like it. But then I saw the graphic, and I actually thought to myself, it's not too bad. We're seeing teams that never really play each other while also keeping intact the biggest rivalries in baseball. Now, keep in mind, the way that this was work is they're going to try and play as little games as possible. So anywhere from 81 to 100 games, that is most likely going to be the ceiling of how many games they're going to play in 2020. So the MLB proposed divisions in 2020. So it's not going to be the American League East or the National League West, anything like that. We have the East, we have the West, we have the Central. So the entire community of Major League Baseball is coming together based off location. So they're trying to limit how many miles the players put on their bodies this year because of the whole corona thing, because the more they travel, the more they get exposed, and it's just not a good time. So they're trying to centralize everything, and if we take a look, it's not bad. I actually kind of like this. So we would have the East Division featuring the Baltimore Orioles, the Boston Red Sox, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Miami Marlins, the New York Mets, New York Yankees, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Washington Nationals. So like I mentioned a few seconds ago, you're still keeping intact the Yankees versus the Mets rivalry. You're still keeping intact the Yankees versus the Red Sox. And then you have the Rays versus the Blue Jays. You have the Phillies versus the Mets. I see absolutely nothing wrong with this. And the way that it would work is it would pretty much mimic what happens in the NBA. So yes, the NBA has a West and East, but you take the top 8 teams. Now, a lot of people don't like that because, for example, if the season was still or let's say the playoffs started right now, the Memphis Grizzlies, who I believe have a below 500 winning percentage, they would make the playoffs. Now, on the other side, people say, that's fine with me. I mean, yeah, they might not be the best team in the world, but at least it gives that fan base something to look forward to. Now, let's say the Marlins, let's say these additions of Jesus Aguilar and Jonathan Villar and Corey Dickerson, let's say that they make an impact and they're able to come in 4th place in this division. They can maybe compete with the Red Sox or the Yankees or the Phillies. I actually don't mind this at all. You don't see these matchups very often. Like, how many times do you get to see Bryce Harper versus Luis Severino or Bryce Harper versus Garrett Cole? Not very often, so I am actually super excited to see that. Moving on to the West Division, we have the A's, the San Francisco Giants, the LA Angels, the LA Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Rangers, Astros, and Mariners. So again, the Astros are going to be in that division with the Dodgers. We would have a repeat of the 2017 World Series pretty much once every couple weeks, and I am super down for that. Like, the more I look into this, I know that a lot of people, they don't want to change baseball because it is America's pastime. It hasn't really changed all that much in the last century. Ever since Abner Doubleday set the rules, not much has changed aside from maybe the designated hitter and the fact that, you know, the base paths and fielding dimensions all have changed. But I honestly kind of like this idea. The fact that we get to have the Astros versus the Dodgers as many times as possible, whereas before it would have to be an interleague matchup or meet in the World Series. We get to see that more often. We have the Giants versus the Dodgers still. I mean, what's not to like about this? So far, the East and the West looks like it's going to be an absolute mad. It's just going to be crazy. It's going to be a dash to the finish, and I'm so excited for this. If this actually happens, again, like I said before, with Manny Ramirez and possibly a Randy Johnson return, pie in the sky ideas are not going to be something that are scoffed at, especially for this season, because if you think about it, they're not going to play 162 games. The season is kind of a wash to begin with. I mean, if you're going to try anything crazy, try it this year. But so far, I would say just to get the games underway and make it exciting and super compelling, this is not a bad place to start. I think it's so much better than the Arizona plan. And then last but not least, we have the Central, which would be comprised of the Braves, Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs. We have the Indians, my favorite club. You know, I have to mention that every single video. The Reds, Royals, Tigers, Minnesota Twins, and Chicago White Sox. So again, who doesn't want to see Francisco Lindor versus Christian Yelich? I know I do. Sign me up. This seems like it's going to be so much more fun. Like, if they brought this into 2020 and it worked, I don't know if they would ever go away with it because it kind of seems like a fun approach to baseball. Baseball is missing out on their key aspect of marketing, and that is the players themselves. If you can market Francisco Lindor versus Christian Yelich, or if you can market, let's say you have Brian Reynolds, a brand new rookie, going up against Pete Alonso, who won Rookie of the Year in 2019. They really competed for that. I mean, Pete Alonso kind of ran away with that, but if you can get that more often in the same division, have those guys compete, if you can market players, let's say you're talking about the American League West. You have Mike Trout versus Cody Bellinger, the two guys that won MVP in the same division, vying for the top 4 spots or something like that. I honestly think that would be so much more fun, as opposed to if you're a White Sox fan and you're in the American League Central. Let's say that they didn't make the playoffs one single time in the last decade. They have a great team in 2020. They now can go up against some more exciting players and teams, because let's face it, if you're a Twins fan or an Indians fan, you got to face the Tigers, you got to face the Royals, you got to face the White Sox. I mean, it's not a very fun division, and this spices things up, and I am totally down to see this implemented. Maybe it's not going to stick, maybe it's not going to work out, but from a fan's perspective, this is honestly a dream, especially for a season that is already kind of a wash. You just try everything. Try it. I'm not saying, attach rockets to bats and see how far you can hit baseballs, or, mock up a baseball and see how much you can get it to curve. Like, I'm not talking about changing the game entirely, but just from a fan's perspective, to make it more exciting, considering you might not have an attendance for the first couple weeks, to try and, I see absolutely not. That's it. I'm left speechless, because this, so far, is not too bad. You guys might disagree with me, but this is way better than the Arizona plan. If they're going to play in their own respective areas of the country and compete at a high level against some teams that I really like we get to see Bryce Harper versus Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We get to see, who else? Trey Mancini, if he gets better, and again, prayers up. We get to see Trey Mancini against Noah Syndergaard. How many times are you going to be able to see that? Not very often. So I am really okay with this, at least for 2020. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, because that's pretty much it for the proposed division. Again, I'm not really too sure how many wins you would have to get if it's the top 3 teams or top 4 or 5 teams from every single division, but this is how it would stack out. So please let me know in the comment sections. Are you down with it? Are you not down with it? Again, I think that 2020 is the year to just push the envelope, see what we can get away with without being too cringy and too cheesy. But last but not least, this day in Major League Baseball history, April 29th, 1986, Roger Clemens became the first ever pitcher to have 20 strikeouts in a 9-inning game. And then 30 years ago today, Greg Maddux threw his first Maddux, which is a complete game shutout, I believe, under 100 pitches. Just absolutely crazy. So thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, slap a like on this one and enjoy the clips.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to stand up. A new record. Clemens has set a major league record for strikeouts in a game. 20.